Hey, hey, hey. All right, here we go. So, your first assignment for the school year. So, this is going to be August 24th to the 28th, and you'll see that in the week of August 24 to 28 folder. Basically, what we're going to be doing this week is we're going to kind of get into the main vocabulary that we're going to use throughout the 12 weeks. So, the first set of vocabulary, if you remember this from seventh grade, is going to be the elements of art. So you have two different categories, and these two categories come together to actually make artwork happen. Okay, so any type of artwork you look at, you're actually going to be able to identify the elements of art and the principles of design. And it's pretty simple, especially with the elements of art. So when you go to I'm actually going to throw this into your August 24 to 28 folder. It's going to be right along with the assignments. But what you're going to do, if you click class resources, you're going to have your syllabus up here. Hopefully we've already gone through that. Rules and safety, should have already gone through that. And then there's a couple other folders. If you want to know how to upload your artwork, this link is going to show you how to do that. If you want to know if you want to know anything more specific about Jackson's school policies and rules, you can look in here. But what we want to do is we're going to go to elements and principles, and then let's take a quick look at this elements of art poster. So in this poster, it's going to show us these 7 elements of art. All right, and there's a very simple way that I like to think about the elements of art. The elements of art are everything that we put into our artwork. All right, so if I gave you a blank piece of paper, what is the first thing that you're going to do? The very first thing. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil and you're going to do what? You're going to put it on your paper and you're going to draw a line. Okay, and that line is going to go from point A to point B. All right, so this is a straight line. You could have a curved line. You could have a zigzag line, a swirl, a total random line. Lines can go wherever. So line is the path of a moving point. Lines define the edges of shapes and forms. So everybody knows what a line is. The definition that I like to use and the one that I have in the classroom is a dot that goes for a walk. You take a dot, you take it on a walk, it creates a line. Okay, pretty simple. So line is the first element of art. And I don't think I really need to explain too much about that. The second element of art is shape. All right, now shape is basically a line that goes from point A to point B, maybe to point C, and then eventually it comes back to right where it started. And whatever enclosed area that line creates, it could create a triangle, could create a rectangle, circle, square. It could create a total random shape, like the shape of a person or the shape of a car or whatever. So a shape is literally just a line that goes on a route or takes a certain directional path and it meets back to where it started. That's what a shape would be considered. The next element of art would be considered a form. Okay, so you have line, you have shape, and you have form. Okay, form is the third element of art. And in this element, you are going to take what you just had in the shape and you are going to make that two-dimensional shape look like it's three-dimensional, which means that the shape is actually popping out of the page. Whether it's a photograph, whether it's a drawing, a painting, it could actually be a physical piece of art like ceramics. So when you think of form, the one thing that helps make a shape look like it's three-dimensional would be to shade in that shape properly so that you have a light side and a shaded side. And the reason why we do that is because when objects are in real life, okay, so if I take let me see if I have something. If I take this pack of gum, okay, wherever the light is in the room, if the light is coming from, let's say, this direction, then the shadow is going to go the opposite direction. So whenever you try to make something three-dimensional, you always have a light and a dark. In some cases, you have what's called gradation. If you remember what gradation means, that just means it's a gradual change from light to dark. Like in this example of a sphere. So the light gradually gets darker as it wraps around the ball. But the value, which we'll get to down here, adding value to a shape is what makes it look like a form. Okay, I wish color was like at the bottom because it shouldn't be right here. But so basically you have a line, it creates a shape, and then what you do is you add value to the shape to get the form. Okay, and that's what makes it look 3D. All right, so let's skip down to value really quick. Value is just the lightness or darkness of a surface. So if you have a super dark value, that's usually meant for like areas in your drawing that should be shaded in, areas that light can't typically reach. And then the lighter area in your drawings is going to be areas that the light is actually shining on. Okay, so you have lights, mediums, and darks, and everything else in between. Oftentimes you'll see value come in like a value scale where you have 0, which is white, and then number 1, which is very light, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is in the middle, all the way to 10, which is typically as dark as you can go with your pencil or with whatever material you're using. Okay, texture is the next one. The element of texture, that is simply making it look like there's a feel to your drawing or to your painting or to whatever you're actually doing. Texture can be an actual feeling of a surface, or it can be a simulated appearance. All right, so a couple examples of texture could be rough, smooth, bumpy, soft, hard. So these are all textures, they're feeling. You got to use your sense of feel to use texture. But oftentimes in a drawing or painting, when you're looking at the element of texture, it's actually an implied feeling. Implied means the artist wants you to think that something looks a certain way. So you can make something look bumpy or look rough or look soft. Does that make sense? So if you make it look like that, is it really soft or are you just making it look like it's soft? Okay, so that's kind of how you actually use the element of texture in your artwork. A lot of times you create a lot of textures with paintings because with painting, you can actually apply the paint a certain way to make it look like it's smooth, rough, soft, etc. Okay, space, number 6 of 7. Space is the illusion. That's a key word, illusion. Space is the illusion of objects having depth on a two-dimensional surface. Okay, what do you think two-dimensional means? Two-dimensional means that if I gave you a piece of paper, that paper is two-dimensional, right? If I gave you a piece of clay, okay, clay is a physical object that actually has multiple dimensions. So that would be a three-dimensional surface. Two-dimensional just means that it's flat. Okay, so a piece of paper is two-dimensional. If you did a painting, it's typically two-dimensional. If you do a drawing, it's two-dimensional. So when you have something that's two-dimensional, it has no depth, right? There's no space. It doesn't go like deep into the image. So what you have to do is with your pencil or with your paint or with whatever materials you're using, you have to create space. And a lot of times you have to create an illusion. You have to make it look like something is getting further away or something is a lot closer because it's bigger. Or sometimes what we can do is we can put a circle in front of a square. And if an object is in front of another object, as humans, we know that the object in front is closer. So it helps create space. Okay, I know space is probably the trickiest one out of all of them, but space is literally just creating depth. So making it look like something is getting further away. And then the last one is color. Color is quite possibly the most important one. Color is the most expressive element, so it's very expressionate. Colors can be associated with emotions. Okay, so red could stand for angry, yellow could stand for happy, blue could stand for sad. So, and green, it's kind of weird, there's not really green in here, but green can also mean like sick. A lot of times, if you look at the emojis on your phone, colors are actually associated with the types of expression that's coming from the face. So, pretty cool. Now, color can also be like a scientific definition, where it has to do with like the length of the 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 light waves going through the air. So there's a few different definitions to color. We're going to talk a lot more about color as the class goes on. Like, for example, what are the primary colors? Red, yellow, blue. Secondary, orange, violet, and green. Tertiary is like red, orange, yellow, orange. Complementary, analogous, monochromatic, all those different things that have to do with color. Color is almost like its own unit in this class. So we'll get there. Anyway, that is the elements of art. And then what you will do next is you're going to go to the next video and you are going to check out the principles of design for part 2 of your first sketchbook assignment. All right, so hopefully that helps. And like I said, if you have any questions, like I said in my other videos, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to fill out the discussion board in that week's column, so week of 24 to 28, and I will get back to you. All right. Good luck.